Boston Cannons Game of the Week is powered by Boston Sports Performance Center, where performance has no limits. BSPC is a premier sports performance, physical therapy, and sports medicine center serving the Boston and Metro West communities.
Hi, Sean Quirk, head coach of the Boston Cannons, wrapping up the Game of the Week with the 2011 championship against the Hamilton Nationals. What a game this was. Games are tough to win. Championships are even tougher to win. We'll see you back here at halftime for a first half analysis.
With Hurricane Irene howling, the Major League Lacrosse semifinals teetered on a slippery slope. In Game 1, defending champion Chesapeake came out firing, but Gunners from Boston saved the winning bullet for the last second. Next up, the title desires of Denver were trapped below water. Hamilton unleashed its kiddie core, which had tons of fun playing in the rain. Today, the Cannons and Nationals race to the finish line with shining proof that kings will be crowned. It's the last day of LAX, the 2011 Sports Authority Major League Lacrosse Championship Weekend, presented by Warrior. A much brighter day at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, where the number 3 seeded Nationals have navigated their way into a winner-take-all, free-for-all with the top-seeded Cannons. But man, oh man, the wind is still whipping. Along with Quint Kesnick, I'm Joe Beninati. If you were with us yesterday, you realized just how taxing the conditions were on the athletes. Q, how well did our finalists come through?
I was amazed at the quality of lacrosse we saw, given the horrendous conditions. The challenge now is to dry up your stuff. You know, the gloves weighed 10 pounds at the end of that game. Your cleats were heavy, so you dry up your stuff, you turn around. It is windy today, and that can impact communication, but I expect to see a high-scoring, hard-hitting, action-packed game.
Most people would say this is an unlikely pairing for a title game, but these two teams have met twice in the last 5 weeks, so why don't you size them up for us?
I think Boston at 10-3 right now overall is just a slight favorite in this matchup. You know, the goaltending edge to Jordan Burke, he led the league in save percentage. Offense is a push. Defense, Boston has some great individuals on defense. Face-offs, I think, has to go to Chris Eck as well of Boston. What stands out to me about Hamilton, why they're so dangerous, they can shoot the ball. They shoot 32%. That's the highest in the league, and I love their coaching staff, Reggie Thorpe and Gary Gate. I thought they did a masterful job managing the last 5 minutes of the semifinals.
Lacrosse is without a doubt a terrific team sport, but sometimes the individual matchups are too good to ignore. In the Warriors Star Watch, Brody Merrill and Paul Rabel command the spotlight.
This is Titanic in lacrosse. This is Kobe against LeBron. Brody Merrill is a 6-time Defensive Player of the Year. He's the best defensive player in league history. He's a turnover machine, creates havoc, gets the ball on the ground, wins possession for his team. He also can score. He's got 17 points this season. Georgetown long stick midfielder will be matched up head-to-head with the league MVP 2-time, that's Paul Rabel. The face of lacrosse at 6'3", 225. He's the best midfielder on the planet. He's powerful, he's fast, he can shoot the rock 111 miles an hour. Titanic matchup, Rabel head-to-head with Brody Merrill.
It'll be a much more pleasant day for the fans who sat through the deluge yesterday as Hurricane Irene whipped its way through Annapolis, Maryland. Scott Rogers gets the call in goal for Hamilton, a big man who has big save ability.
Second-year pro out of Notre Dame, left-hander, led the Fighting Irish to the national championship game in 2010. He'll go against Jordan Burke, led the league third best all time, 62%. He's a lefty out of Brown.
It's been a terrific year for Burke, for all the Cannons. The question is, can they get it done? Can they finally win a Major League Lacrosse championship? We are underway. The officials today, Brian Abbott, Tom Sutton, Rich Tamburino, and Doug Donovan. Jeff Snyder digging on the draw with Chris Eck. Eck, the league's best when it comes to face-off winning percentage, but it's Hamilton that will have the first possession. The Nationals in orange, 7-5 in the regular season, earned them the number 3 seed. Boston, 9-3, winners of 3 straight down the stretch, and then both of these teams moving on with victories yesterday. An early turnover, jitters perhaps for Hamilton. Reggie Thorpe in his first year on the Hamilton bench.
Well, yesterday's challenge was to play in the rain where the pocket of your stick would just bag out and sag. Now it's dried out, so it tightens. So warm-ups really important, and making sure you're in synchronicity with your equipment.
Flag down on the play. Jack Reed brings it ahead. Early extra man chance will belong to the Boston Cannons, who wear the white. Max Quinzani was yesterday's hero, 88 for Boston. The last second tally to win it. Wonderful pass inside. Rogers makes the big save on Buchanan. As the ball dribbles out of bounds, it'll be Boston extra man.
They're going to be 2 men up here, Joe. 2 different fouls. First was behind. Here's the save. Great cut by the lefty Kevin Buchanan. And Rabel just jams that ball inside. Good start for Rogers, who is an emotional goaltender, likes to get off to that good save and then ride the crowd. And there's Rabel, who jammed that ball inside, knowing that it was a flag down situation.
We spoke with Rogers during the week, and he said he loves this back-to-back potential tournament scenario. Reminded him of his days at Notre Dame, and he said specifically, if I make a big save early, I tend to go on that climb that you need.
I thought yesterday he didn't make that big save early, but it was a gutsy call by Reggie Thorpe, Hamilton coach, to replace him in the second half with Brett Queener.
Brett Bucktooth for Hamilton, saddled with a couple of different penalties. And here come the Cannons with the #1 rated extra man unit in Major League Lacrosse. Rabel, skip a man, Boyle, bang! Ryan Boyle gets the Cannons off to a flying start.
Keep it simple on the extra man. If you're the guys in white, you're in your 3-3 set. You got 3 up top and 3 down low. Pasque 7 in white draws a crowd, and you'll see Boyle just find the seam. Rabel guns that ball between defenders. Little head and shoulder fake by Ryan Boyle. You talk about production. That is Ryan Boyle's middle name.
Definitely. All they needed was 14 seconds to convert on the man up. And get this, Q. These two teams met twice in the regular season. They split, each winning on the other's home field. Boston was 0 for 10 extra man against Hamilton. That streak comes to an end right off the bat. As we near the 2-minute mark, the 2011 Sports Authority Major League Lacrosse Championship Weekend, presented by Warrior. Joe Walters jogging into the tack. The Nationals in orange move the ball in exquisite fashion when they're on their game.
Interesting to look at the matchups early in this game. P.T. Ricci matched up with Joe Walters. Kyle Sweeney draws the Casey Powell assignment.
Jordan Hall into the lane. Kept to the outside there by Matt Smalley. This one bounds towards the crease, and Jordan Burke will take it back. Sending it on for J.J. Morrissey, the former L.A. Riptide, who sprints through neutral field.
Excellent defense by Mitch Belisle, 85 in white. You're listening to your goalie. That ball is fed towards the crease. You got to trust your goalie. Jordan Burke's going to yell, check, check, and you hammer the arms. And there was Belisle, a first-team All-Pro, to make the check.
So much defensive communication. Rabel getting fancy there on the flip behind the back. It goes out of bounds. Folks, we want to let you know Major League Lacrosse's championship weekend on ESPN, being seen around the world by the nearly 1 million U.S. Armed Forces via AFN, the American Forces Network. Our brave men and women in uniform watching from across Europe down to Southwest Asia, from South Korea to the South Pacific, and from the Horn of Africa aboard U.S. Navy ships at sea. Wherever you're stationed, we hope you're enjoying this game, and stay safe, get home soon. Joe Walters working at the top of the arc, almost halfway through the 60-second shot clock. Nationals trailing the Cannons early. A Ryan Boyle marker getting Boston in front. David Earl bounds this one wide of the net.
When you watch Hamilton operate, it's a circular offense. They rely on 2-man games. You'll see a lot of picks for the ball and then slips and backdoor cuts. It's almost very similar to basketball.
Crowley gets a step, bounces one past Burke. He beat Rabel, and the rookie ties it.
Kevin Crowley, right-handed rookie out of British Columbia. The #1 draft in the collegiate draft, played at Stony Brook. And he's a big man, he's strong. His outside shooting was his Achilles heel as a rookie, but he can penetrate, and he is tough to stop once he gets ahead of steam down that right-handed alley.
Q, I remember back to yesterday, the welcome of our men and women in there and the armed forces reminded me Kevin Mincio and Matt Sowery cycling across America in memory of Staff Sergeant Jesse Williams, who died in Iraq in April of '07. They've been here at championship weekend. They're making their way north.
I always think
Long
about
trip.
Former Army and Navy athletes who've played in Major League Lacrosse, who are stationed around the globe. I'm sure they're watching us right now. Guys like Graham Gill, Adam Fullerton, who was a member of the Denver Outlaws this season. And you get to see Jeremy Boltus, who's a recent graduate of West Point, playing in this game. But his future in this league is obviously determined on where he gets stationed.
Yeah, Kevin and Matt's bike journey ends at ground zero, the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. Joe Walters shakes inside, finds Boltus, the rookie of the year, and he bounds one wide of the cage. Burke hustling, looking for the backup, and he wins the ball for Boston. We're deadlocked at 1, just about 5 minutes into the opening quarter. Boston Cannons in the white. Max Quinzani, a hat-trick performer yesterday in the semifinals. Quinzani, one of many different 20-goal scorers for Boston, the highest octane team in the league.
I got 6 guys with more than 25 points, and I think what we saw in the semifinal, Rabel did not have the great game, but others picked up the slack.
Ryan Boyle in possession. He has the Boston goal. He has 3 championship rings on his mantle, all with a Philadelphia barrage. Brad Ross for Rabel on the face dodge away from Waldeck. Zips one off the elbow of Scott Rogers, who flexed that forearm just in the nick of time. Brand new 60-second shot clock for the Cannons. And Q, we can talk about the rule enhancements of Major League Lacrosse with respect to the college game.
Well, I'm a huge fan of the 60-second shot clock and the 2-point shot. Major League Lacrosse has always led the way in terms of innovation, and the games this summer have been action-packed, high scoring. I think the college game really needs to look in the mirror, because what we saw in the NCAA playoffs this year was not in the best interests of lacrosse.
Downing kicks it for Boyle on a sneak attack. He bounds one off the big netminder and wide, chasing it down quickly. Merrill and Rabel, our marquee matchup, head-to-head right there. Downing took his eyes off of it. It went off of his cross, backed up by Quinzani. Plenty of time for Boston to operate. 50 seconds in the shot clock, just about the midway mark of the opening quarter, and just 2 points on the board. Crowley for Hamilton, Boyle for Boston. Downing working inside with a dive shot. He rings the iron, and then it's a crease violation against Boston. It's Hamilton ball.
Diving into the crease is legal in Major League Lacrosse, and goalie Scotty Rogers gets cut off at the knees here.
Downing, a fearless flyer for the Cannons. Just getting started with Hamilton. Nationals and Cannons meeting in Major League Lacrosse's championship finale. So nice to see the shiny blue skies. Jordan Burke and the Boston Cannons tangling with the Hamilton Nationals in this championship game of Major League Lacrosse. And these two teams have seen each other a total of 6 times before. And remember that Hamilton used to be the Toronto Nationals. Each team winning on the other's home turf this year. Brett Bucktooth had a huge game for the Nationals in that win at Harvard, scoring 5 times. The Hamilton Nationals, out of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, playing their games at Ron Joyce Stadium at McMaster University.
Ron Joyce has a hockey connection, Joe.
No, you're kidding.
Yeah,
in Canada?
He established a Dairy Queen franchise and became friends with hockey player Tim Horton.
Look at you.
And then a partner in that, and eventually gave $10 million to that university, and the field bears his name.
Plenty of donuts and coffee. Nice move, Hall inside, sending this one wide of the goal. Backed up there by Cody Jamieson. Jordan Hall is a very tough cover, an elusive midfielder when he chooses to dodge.
Yeah, but he is 100% left-handed and relies on that two-handed cradle. Defensively, you've got to work tendencies when you're defending this Hamilton National team, as goes with Cody Jamieson, 22 in orange, who just scores from a severe angle. So many of these Hamilton National players are native of they're Canadians, and they're one-handed players, always going to work to that strong left hand. If you're Boston there, you got to get a quicker double team. You're trying to cover Jamieson with the short stick, J.J. Morrissey. He needs a little help in that matchup. Smart move by Jamieson when he sensed matchup superiority.
Good news for Cody. Didn't score yesterday. Got himself an assist in Hamilton's win over Denver. The number 3 seeds, the Nationals, taking down the 2nd-seeded Outlaws. Boston, the number 1 seed, eliminating Chesapeake in a last split second goal. This is over and back against Boston. It's Hamilton ball.
2 things you have to do well to stop Hamilton is read your scouting report. You've got to know the strong hands of so many of these players. A guy like Joe Walters, predominantly lefty. Jamieson's a lefty. Jordan Hall's a lefty. And then the other thing you have to do is play your 2-man games well, your pick and roll game.
David Earl has it, 24-year-old rookie from Simsbury, Connecticut, late of Notre Dame. Earl has acclimated himself very well, part of a brilliant rookie class for the Nationals that has bolstered their hopes for a title in 2011. Here's another one of those rookies. Thompson fires, that stab by Burke. He loves to outlet for this man, Kyle Sweeney. Sweeney glides ahead, looks for Hayes. They've got numbers. Hayes inside, jump shot, missed the mark.
See the importance of a goalie like Jordan Burke, not only making the save, but catching it. Getting Sweeney up the field in transition.
On a bang-bang connection there with Matt Posquet.
We talked about Brody Merrill of Hamilton and his offensive impact. Well, number 2 all-time in league history from the long stick position is Kyle Sweeney. Here's he's the defender playing attack. An accurate feed, and Posquet just one-touches that ball past Scotty Rogers. And as a goalie there, if you're Rogers, you got to turn faster. So you're in position with good balance by the time the ball gets to Posquet's stick.
Matt Posquet, a former Major League Lacrosse MVP. Chris Eck wins the draw cleanly. Eck roaring right to the cooker. He sends it high. Saul Bliss and Brody Merrill came to tend to him. This belongs to Hamilton, sprinting out of its own territory. Bill Day, knowing that the Nationals have good foot speed in the presence of the rookie there, Dan Burns. Bill Day, the coach of the year in 2011. Former Major League Lacrosse goalie in his own right. This is the 11th summer of Major League Lacrosse.
Day, a former goalie at North Carolina, part of the 1991 championship team and part of the 1993 team that lost in the NCAA Finals.
Here's a very familiar name to lacrosse fans. Casey Powell back in action. Shovels one-handed for Kevin Crowley. He's met there by Mitch Belisle. Belisle, the ringleader perhaps of this Boston defense. The push call against Hamilton. It is Boston ball. Reggie Thorpe in the foreground, Gary Gate in the background. Those two have put their heads together quite well this summer, leading Hamilton into a championship game.
Think about Reggie Thorpe, hard-nosed 39-year-old defender. Played for that Syracuse team in 1993. That's why I mention it, because you see these coaches competed against each other at the college level. Great defender. And obviously Gary Gate, best offensive player maybe in the history of lacrosse, the current head women's coach at Syracuse University.
Plenty of guys on the field, players and coaches, rivals and friends. Heim on the move. Pat Heim for Boston on the roll dodge. Helping to create for Paul Rabel. Rabel sidestepping Brody Merrill, who can close ground quickly, and then the double comes from Donnie Moss. 99 draws a crowd for sure. Boyle moving in against Rubish. Ryan Boyle already with one today. Posquet, another sizzler, stopped by Rogers. He trapped that underneath his right arm. Posquet, a 4-goal performance against Hamilton to his credit. As Merrill streaks across, Brody Merrill, the highest scoring long stick defender in the league, content to play it off for Donnie Moss.
I'll tell you, that was a brilliant save where Rogers, because of the low release point from Posquet, Rogers had to mimic that with his body, went down low to his offside and got it with his right bicep, basically made that stop.
Jamison, goal line extended. Hovering there defensively, it's Smalley. Bill Day giving his short stick defensive midfielders a ton of credit for their efforts this year. During the regular season, you dress 19. During championship weekend, you can put 20 on the field. Hall hesitates. Finds Bucktooth, and then he was bothered by Jack Reed, a physical customer on Boston's back end. Shot clock at 8. Boltus in possession, yielding it for Jamison. He works against Smalley. Goes to an air gate type finish, and Burke was waiting at the crossbar. There's a flag down. Penalty coming soon against Hamilton. Max Quinzani scanning the field, floats it in there, looking for either Sweeney or Posquet, and it's Posquet who sizzles one wide. 2-2 contest. Crowley and Jamison on the board for Hamilton. Boyle and Poste have struck for the Cannons. Jamison looking for the rooftop. No sail, says Jordan Burke. Young lacrosse fans enjoying things in this Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Hamilton and Boston tied up at 2. Late in the opening quarter, we haven't heard yet from the Bud Light MVP, regular season-wise, Paul Rabel.
When you think about this award, to me, it was basically an afterthought after August 1st that Rabel, with his outstanding season, number 2 overall in points. You know, I thought the threats were Ned Crotty of Rochester, but the Rattlers didn't have a great season. Brody Merrill of Hamilton, to me, and a guy like Brendan Mundorf of Denver. Those would have been my finalists, but I would have voted for Paul Rabel.
Paul joined there by Pam Cole-Finley, the Budweiser rep, and David Gross, the commissioner of Major League Lacrosse. Extra man time for the Cannons. Feed inside, Posque rings the crossbar. High in the air. They look for the ground ball with plenty of English on it.
Always comes down with backspin, Joe. Always comes down with backspin.
Buchanan knew it. He was waiting for it away from the pack. Ross sends it. Nationals back to even strength. Undaunted, it's Posque's second.
This won't count as a power play goal because the penalty was released. Rapid ball movement, 1 cradle and a pass. Posque 7, he's in the slot. Boyle trusts him in a little one-touch. Matt Posque, about 90% right-handed. He's the current head coach at Wagner University in New Jersey. He says they had their first team meeting on Wednesday. And he told you today, Joe, that he thought the way Hamilton plays defense, that he could have a big afternoon.
Stats would show it through the regular season that he produced 6 goals and 2 assists in the 2 matchups against Brody Merrill and the Hamilton Nationals. Matt Posque on the business end of another perfect feed from Ryan Boyle. What else is new? Boyle, one of the game's great assist men. Think back to his time with the Philadelphia Barrage. He worked with Michael Springer and B.J. Prager, Seth Goldberg, part of that Philadelphia dynasty team, if you will, that won 3 out of 4.
11 years in Major League Lacrosse. Connor Gill, probably the best passer in league history. I'd rate Boyle as a number 2.
Jordan Burke starting this game smartly between the pipes for Boston. Sends it on back for J.J. Morrissey, and he'll connect with the big man Brian Farrell, the rookie defender who struck twice yesterday to help the Cannons down Chesapeake.
Even with the shot clock, you can't take maybe shots against Jordan Burke. He's going to make all the stops on your maybe shots.
Burke, the 2-time Ivy League Player of the Year at Brown University. Tremendous college career. Rubish keeping an eye on Boyle as we hit 30 seconds to go in this first quarter. Shot clock at 23. Both of these teams exerting a lot of energy yesterday. All the emotion that's wrapped up in a semifinal Saturday, one thing, but to battle through hurricane conditions the way they did and come through admirably, you would imagine they'd be a bit pooped. Moving in, it's Posque. He bounces one in. They wash it out. A flag down. Posque says it should count.
Stay away from the ball. It appears as if Saul Bliss, 33 in orange, pushes interference. He pushed his Boston attacker into the crease. Watch top of your screen, 33 in orange, right there. Pushes, I believe that's Quinzani into the crease. Not sure why the goal isn't good. It's a play-on situation. Was not a crease violation by Posque.
Bill Day and the Cannons coaching staff barking out at the officials. Rabel launching a late first quarter try as the horn sounds. We played 15 minutes in this Major League Lacrosse Championship Weekend Final. Presented by Warrior on ESPN2. Scott Rogers and the Hamilton Nationals entertaining the Boston Cannons. Plenty of fun. It's a lacrosse festival here in Annapolis, Maryland. We'll get you back to Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in a few moments. Quarter number 2 to come. Posque with 2 already. A sunsplash day in Maryland. Boston a 3-2 leader after 1 quarter. Major League Lacrosse handed out its individual awards this week, and one of the recipients couldn't be with us this weekend, but you can give a listen to the New Balance Sportsman of the Year, Greg Bice of Rochester.
On behalf of Across the Nations and all God's children, I'd like to thank New Balance and the MLL for this generous award and their support of those 2 organizations that are doing tremendous work for those in need.
Quint, year after year, Greg is outstanding with regard to his sportsmanship and community service.
Tremendous representation of the sport of lacrosse. So Ohio State University, where he played, in this league in general. Greg is completely selfless with his time. and has done some great things both in the United States and actually south of the border also, down in Honduras.
You mentioned Columbus. Ohio machine perhaps in the future with expansion on the forefront for Major League Lacrosse next summer. Rabel playing catch with Buchanan. Extra man continues for Boston in white. A 3-2 leader after one. Quinzani's got some room. Quinzani inside, defended well there. Waldeck with a late check. Covering ground, it's Ryan Boyle in the corner. Just getting going in this second quarter now. 2011 Sports Authority Major League Lacrosse Championship Weekend presented by Warrior. Rogers with a strong save on Buchanan. Joe Beninati and Quint Kesnick with you. We're at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis, the day after Hurricane Irene.
Save with the body. Watch Rogers right off that right shoulder. 15 shots already by Boston, dominating this game. Not on the scoreboard, only at 3-2.
Rogers very animated in the crease, barking at his defenders for them to mark up. Goaltenders have to be the traffic cop. Rogers had his single game best save total against Boston this year. It was a 20-save effort in the win at Harvard. On the interchange, Buchanan's alone. Another stop for Rogers. That's his fifth in the early going. Brody Merrill spins it on back. Scott Rogers on the hop, launching this one too strongly for Donnie Moss. In a physical battle along the sideline, Kyle Sweeney comes up with it and spots the open Matt Pasquet. Pasquet with the last two markers for Boston. Low scoring at the moment, 3-2 Cannons. Rabel swims through the double. Waldeck turns him away.
Ninth touch for Rabel. He's got 2 shots, 1 assist.
Buchanan, another good move. Rogers with a better save. Pasquet was acrobatically looking to bat home the rebound. Nothing there for him, and Burns jets back for Hamilton.
Hamilton has yet to find their offensive flow. You got to get Joe Walters the ball and Casey Powell the ball and work some of your two-man games. So far, they've only scored 2 goals, both unassisted.
Walters knocked down rudely by Marcy, and up comes the flag.
It's a Hamilton team that is the best passing team in the league. Question marks midseason, do they have guys who can penetrate from the perimeter and score unassisted goals? And Boston so far, a good defensive strategy. They're making them dodgers and not passers. It's a clear push from behind by J.J. Morrissey.
Hamilton will go 6-on-5. Crowley. Powell, who had 3 assists yesterday, works at the top of the arc. 16 yards from the goal. Score from behind that yellow line, you get 2 points. Crowley, the #1 overall draft pick. They work the circle play for Boltus. Swinging on back. The bucktooth bid did not get through. He'll chase down the rebound. Halfway through the shot clock, Boltus, Rookie of the Year performer. Burke has this one carom off of him and in. Credit Casey Powell with a strike.
I thought Hamilton's season turned towards the positives, towards, hey, this is a championship caliber team on July 23rd when they beat Boston 16-12. Casey Powell, whose rights were owned by the Rochester Rattlers, signs late with his club after a trade, and you see just a sliver of an angle, and he bounces that ball down low. He played in 2 games late in the season, and he greatly improved this franchise's opportunity to win a championship. One of the best players in league history.
Without a doubt, the highest point scorer in league history, up there in terms of goals and assists, just the same, and right there ending a 10-minute cold spell for Hamilton.
You go back, Casey Powell, 70 points for Rochester back in 2003. Another plus 50 seasons. You look at, the massive point totals, approaching 400 points. He's a former offensive MVP. Did not play in 2009 and 2010.
2 championship rings, right? The first one with Long Island, and the second, the 08 with the Rochester Rattlers. On the move, good shot on the run. Excellent precision from Mike Stone.
Dave Stone is one of the role players. Only had 5 goals during the regular season. But what he does well here, north-south, no hesitation. I'm going to the goal full speed. And as you get closer to the goal line extended, it's extremely important as a shooter that you shoot overhand because that increases your angle. Rogers takes the blame for that goal. Tough to find the ball in the pocket of that shooter while he's running full speed.
New England Small College Athletic Conference Player of the Year 2 times, Mike Stone, out of Middlebury. The polar bear in me
the polar
bear
Middlebury
in me out of
program.
Bowdoin has both pride and bitterness to say that. Mike Stone, though, a goal yesterday in the semis and one today in the championship game.
That is one of my favorite leagues in all of Division III. Just a great conference in New England.
And of late, the Tufts Jumbos have been on the national forefront, right there for national championships. Boston, also hailing from the great state of Massachusetts, trying to bring a title home for the first time ever. We've documented yesterday, and I'm sure we'll touch on it today, Boston's travails in the Major League Lacrosse playoffs. Quinzani being shoved away from the net. An easy stop there for Rogers. Good defensive work by Bryce Queener.
Clearing can be an issue against Boston. Their attack gets back to the midfield line. Quinzani hustles his tails off. They created a bunch of turnovers, and that was a big difference maker in the semifinals.
If you're new to Major League Lacrosse, 20 seconds to clear the midline from
And
the
right there,
defensive half to the offensive end.
they ride you tough between the 30-yard lines. This is a Boston team. They don't concede and back up and retreat. The attack does, but they play you, and that earns possession for their team. It's a big deal. But Chesapeake really lost the semifinal because of 2 giveaway goals in their clearing game.
Tremendous start for the Bayhawks yesterday as Reggie Thorpe looks on. Chesapeake had Boston in a big hole. The Cannons, as has been their trait throughout this summer, have shown that comeback ability. And in the biggest game of the season to date, they were able to rally back and chase down the defending champs. Rabel on the sweep, slings one left-handed, off target. The backup belongs to Kevin Buchanan, deadly accurate during the season, 46%. Major League Lacrosse regular season, 12 games this year. It'll be a 14-game regular season next summer with the addition of 2 teams. Quinzani on the interchange. Max Quinzani rolling back, question mark style. Rogers adds to his save total. Boyle with a good backup. The alert quarterback for the Cannons.
A lot of resets earned by Boston off of rebounds and deflections.
And a lot of saves already for Rogers with 8. Boyle on the one-touch passing. Posque has the hat trick. Matt Posque in can't-miss mode.
It's a magical offense. Talk about ball reversal and basketball from one side of the court to the other. Watch Boyle find Posque.
Boston has the lead by 2. We're back with more. Matt Posque leading the way for Boston, an early hat trick. It's 5-3. Joe Beninati, Quint Kesnick upstairs. Major League Lacrosse founder Jake Steinfeld. Jake, it's nice to see you in the sun today. Can you speak to the job the fans and the players and coaches did yesterday in that hurricane?
I'll tell you what, the MLL, we play in hurricanes. That's our new motto. But the fans, the players, everybody that came out, even Denver's cheerleaders came out and were just magnificent. It was unbelievable. You guys, everybody in the truck was unbelievable. But you know what? That's what this sport is all about. Everybody works together. It's a lean horse for a long race, as we say, fellas.
Jake, the 2011 season defined by competitiveness in the league, great attendance in Denver and Boston. What are you looking forward to in 2012?
Well, the word is innovation, and I think you guys know. Q, Joe, when I came up with the 2-point arc and our shot clock, everybody sort of looked and rolled their eyes. Everybody's looking at that now. How do we make the college game, all games better? We have a new technology that we're working on for the casual fan to illuminate the head of the stick. So when the ball hits the head of the stick will illuminate. So it'll be a lot easier to follow for not only the fans, but the casual fans to get more fans watching the sport of lacrosse. That's what we're all about. Major League Lacrosse, the outdoor game, the indoor game, the college, the high school, the youth, the Pee-wees, everybody together. That's what we're about at Major League Lacrosse.
Brad Ross just zipped one into the top corner, Jake. There are so many terrific athletes on the field in this sport today. Give us an example. Describe what they can do on a field with respect to some of the athletes that you've worked with.
Well, I'll tell you what, you get a guy like Paul Rabel. I know you guys talk about him. That's our first big star. He's a guy that's crossed over. You know, he's a new Warrior guy. You talk about all the different things that Warrior, Brine, New Balance are doing. We have Powerade now, Bud Light. Sports Authority has stepped up big time. What a great company those guys are to get involved in the sport of lacrosse. As you guys know, it's the fastest growing game in the country. It's the most exciting game in the country. I love the NFL, but come on, guys, you got a stick in your hand. You can whack guys.
Jake, 11 years ago when this league started, there were 1,600 high schools playing the game. That number has doubled now. There's over 3,200 nationally. What's your opinion on our moves next year to Ohio and Charlotte expansion?
Two fantastic markets, two great ownership groups. The competition is incredible. The weather is beautiful here. The game out there is great. Stop talking to me. Get back to the game, guys. Hope to see everybody back in California.
Jake Steinfeld, Major League Lacrosse founder. Thanks so much. Good to see you smiling on the sideline.
Hey, don't quit, guys.
We won't. No quitting. No quitting in Major League Lacrosse as Brett Bucktooth works back for Hamilton. Now in a 3-goal deficit. Bucktooth sends one wide. Sweeney racing there. The all-out dive. It'll still be Boston ball.
A lot of the little plays coming up Boston. When you think about ground balls, an advantage. They're +5 in that category. They're dominating in shots and time of possession. They're not giving Hamilton any second chance opportunities on offense. And I love the way Boston's playing defense. They're making Hamilton score unassisted goals. That's not their forte. They're a great passing team.
Fans watching at home just saw the top of the score box, bottom of the screen, the shot disparity. We'll be sharing a bunch of stats with you throughout the day. The one that matters most, Boston on top 6-3. No running room there for Greg Downing. Quinzani away from the hatchet work of Saul Bliss. Downing maneuvers in, works back to his left and fires one wide. Spinning and twisting away from Donnie Moss. Very late in the shot clock here for Boston, 9 seconds with which to work. Boyle, a tremendous catch. Then gets cleaned out by Rubish and Bliss. It's a shot clock violation against the Cannons.
Very impressed with the work of Kyle Rubish this season. 8 in orange. Defender out of Canada, played at Dowling. But this catch was amazing by Boyle. Caught it one-handed and then draws the double team. It's Bliss and Rubish, and Hamilton finally earns a shot clock violation.
This Hamilton team went through a transformation. They were pretty much a 500 club or just below it to the midway mark of the regular season. Then they came on like gangbusters.
Well, I think you got to go beyond that, Joe. Last year, 3-9 in 2010. John Grant Jr. was the face of their franchise. They decide to trade him because they got all these youngsters in the draft, and this team is radically improved.
Burke just stuffed Thompson. Sweeney the other way. Sends it too tall over the 6'5" Scott Rogers. Pasquet. Boxed in by Rubish. Matt Pasquet, 7 in the white for Boston, already with 3 markers in this first half. This one ricochets into the crease. Rogers says thanks. Jeremy Thompson, the rookie out of Syracuse, going the other way. Thompson corrals.
Okay, that was an opportunity, Joe. Big-time opportunity off the Rogers save. Thompson sloppy.
Joe Walters waiting for substitutes to come in off of Reggie Thorpe's bench. We drift below 4 minutes to go in the opening half. Lacrosse.com, Major League Lacrosse All-Pro team. We'll unveil it for you between quarters 2 and 3. Powell, good look. Bucktooth on the quick stick, that's high. The backup belongs to Cody Jamieson. Hamilton hoping to chip away at a 3-point deficit with Casey Powell. 4 points in the game yesterday. Powell goes behind the back. Walters fires wide. The 2 playmakers hooking up there for the Nationals. Shot clock at 10. The interior feed, and Jordan Burke's waiting at the end of the line. Burke dazzling as the game went along yesterday, and he has started strong this afternoon. Quinzani's feed tapped across. Pasquet sails one wide. Off in the distance, you hear Rogers setting the defensive marching orders. Rabel, 2 times the league MVP. Paul Rabel against Brody Merrill, 6 times the defender of the year. The bounce shot goes wide. Off the reset, Heim playing catch up top with Mike Stone, who has one this afternoon. Rolling back for Heim, switch the point of attack to Rabel. This time against Waldeck. Bryce Queener coming to double. Stone pumps it wide. Rabel, like Walters, a very good feeder from his midfield spot.
And this was his best year in terms of spinning the rock to his teammates. And how about Stone playing with great explosion and speed?
Quinzani, high to low, kick out, split save from Rogers. Both left-handed goalies are on their game today. The clearing pass, not a good one. P.T. Ricci vacuums that up. 1:40 to go in this first half of play.
Opportunity, another in transition that Hamilton, a little sloppy with the outlet pass and Waldeck can't handle. Earlier was Jeremy Thompson.
Stone stays out there working hand in glove with Buchanan. Shifting gears away from Waldeck, he fires. That one missed the target by inches.
And on short rest, all of a sudden Hamilton's defense, a bit gassed here. Get me to halftime, only down 3 right now if you're a fan of the Orange.
Stone comes to fetch. Lining up with him, Donnie Moss. Stone playing a 2-man game with Rabel. Buchanan will try Waldeck for size. Buchanan stuffed by Rogers. The pass off target. Brody Merrill did not reel it in. Plenty of pushing with the ball on the turf. It'll be Hamilton ball, or check that, Boston ball. Rabel for Boyle. An open look. Buchanan scorching that one off of Rogers in the iron and way out of play.
You see Brody Merrill hands on knees, trying to catch his breath. This is a Hamilton defense that's played the entire second quarter with their back against the wall here.
Rogers with 10 stops and counting. Mentioned his single season best was 20 against these Boston Cannons. The next time he saw them, he mustered only 1 save and was given the hook after 16 minutes. This camera angle will give you a good look at Rabel's pursuit and advance to the net. Rabel to his left, Rubish keeping an eye on him.
35th shot for Boston.
Just 5 seconds left in this second quarter.
That is a ton. This is a team that averages somewhere in the mid to upper 40s per game.
Head coach Bill Day directing traffic.
Communication so important on defense. Now you're listening to your goalie for the check call. Boyle's going to throw this ball inside. You're playing your picks. You probably want to switch this Boston action by playing sides. Play that bookend outside shoulder defense.
Nationals will sick Brody Merrill against Ryan Boyle. Brody with the long stick, resting on his knees at the moment. Waiting for Boyle to enter the picture. There's the pack in front, plenty of pick plays. Rogers interrupts all of it with a good stick check, and then wow, watch out at the doorstep. Does it count? No, sir. We're done. 30 minutes of play, halftime here in Annapolis. Reggie Thorpe's Nationals trailing by 3. Boston's Cannons led by Bill Day. Matt Posque leading the way with 3 goals. Major League Lacrosse's All-Pro team, presented by lacrosse.com. It comes your way in just a few moments. We're done with 2 quarters. Scott Rogers has been a busy boy in goal for Hamilton. Posque heading the list. Boston on top.
The Boston Cannons Game of the Week is powered by Boston Sports Performance Center, where performance has no limits. BSPC is a premier sports performance, physical therapy, and sports medicine center serving the Boston and Metro West communities.
What an extremely steady half for the Boston Cannons in this championship game. No nerves, no recklessness, steady offense, sharing the ball Guys flying around on offense and defense. Going into the second half, Cannons are leading 6-3. You would have never thought this is the biggest game of these guys' lives, the way that they played with such composure. We'll see at the end of the game for a final analysis.
Nice to revisit Jarrett Park to Drew Westervelt. Well-deserved honors of being SportsCenter's top play yesterday. A thing of beauty for the Outlaws, who came up short in their quest for a Major League Lacrosse championship, falling to the Hamilton Nationals, who trail Boston by 3 today after 2 quarters of play. Joe Beninati and Quint Kesnick with you, in Q at the top of the telecast. We talked about Brody Merrill straight up against Paul Rabel.
Tepid nod right now to Rabel in the matchup. He's got 2 assists off 13 touches. Meanwhile, Merrill 4 ground ball and 2 caused turnovers. But I really like the way Rabel's handling. He hasn't forced the action. He's distributing, and this is a Boston offense. Rapid ball movement. They've generated 35 shots. They've dominated action, yet only lead by 3.
Rabel hasn't hit the score sheet yet, but Matt Pasquet has 3 times.
Pasquet is always going to be the beneficiary when Boston's playing good team offense. He's the guy inside. He's the closest playing in the slot, closest to the goal. That was a brilliant pass by Boyle, 14 in white. From behind the goal, up top, Pasquet doesn't miss. He's known for a shooting percentage, keeps it simple with that right-handed release. And when Boston plays good team offense, Pasquet scores goals by the handful.
Cannons with the last 3 points of the first half. 6-3 leaders, 2011 Sports Authority Major League Lacrosse Championship Weekend, presented by Warrior on ESPN2. Joe Beninati and Quint Kesnick with you as we tip the cover, as they would say in Annapolis at the Naval Academy, to all the men and women for their outstanding work in our technical crew this weekend. The conditions the last couple of days, incredibly difficult for them, and yeoman work all the way around. Brett Queener has come on for the Hamilton Nationals. No surprise, they like to do the 1-2 goalie rotation, although Scott Rogers was excellent in the first 30 minutes.
Stood on his head to keep Hamilton in the ball game. You know, if you're Hamilton right now, you got to fix your half-field offense. Too much standing around, too much isolation dodges. This offense works best when everyone's moving without the ball. Backdoor cuts, slip cuts, a lot of picks for the ball carrier. Hamilton, quite honestly, looks a little sluggish, a little tired, and a little sloppy.
They played in the second game of the 2 semifinals yesterday. Casey Powell, veteran playmaker in the lineup, 35 years of age. Powell, 7 in the orange. Tied up there by Smalley. Nationals were begging for a hold. No call from the officiating crew led by Brian Abbott. So, Powell says, I'll take it right to the cage.
Powell's got a pair, both unassisted. What makes Casey Powell dangerous, eyes are always up. He's looking to feed first, but he's deceptively strong. And you see the little duck, he senses you over the head check. That is not the time nor the place for Matt Smalley to go over the head of the ball carrier. Right here, no, there's no help. Too easy for Casey Powell, legend of number 22 while at Syracuse University.
Donning number 7 for the Hamilton Nationals. His first game back in Major League Lacrosse came against the Cannons. 2 + 2 = 4 for Casey, albeit in a losing effort. Brian Farrell coming up with the ground ball off the wing, and it's kept down on the deck by Brody Merrill, as well as Kyle Rubin and Jeff Snyder. Those saying Hamilton ball.
Those are the little battles that Hamilton has to start winning.
Waldeck winds and fires. Did not convert against Jordan Burke. Burke staying put between the pipes for Boston. A tremendous story, Jordan Burke. He took the starting job away from Kip Turner, the #1 goalie of the year last year.
Remember preseason when we talked to Billy Day about how he's going to give Jordan Burke an opportunity. He said Jordan has earned the opportunity. All we're looking for is consistency. 12 to 15 stops a game. I think there was a point in last season where I felt that Kip Turner was kind of riding the roller coaster. A great game followed by a subpar game.
Crowley here, goals in 8 of his last 9 contests. The pass gets away from Hall. Kyle Sweeney running well, as always, for Boston from defense to offense. Sweeney sets it for Max Quinzani, the hat-trick hero yesterday, the game winner with under 2 seconds to go to take out the defending champion Bayhawks. Boston looking for its first ever crown. One of the original squads in Major League Lacrosse way back to the summer of 2001. Buchanan 8 goals in his last 3 games. Hoping to keep up the hot hand against Steven Waldeck. He's dumped, goal line extended, and Buchanan bounces right back up. Heim, as the shot clock hits 15. Dances around a screen set by Rabel and stings the corner on Queener. Sharp shot there from Pat Heim.
Left-handed rip by the former #1 collegiate pick overall coming out of Penn State. The change of direction, he's kind of back dodging right here. And defensively, this is one that you hope that your goaltender, Brett Queener, can make, but a quick release by Heim on the jump shot. You know, when I talk about the paint area, Joe, in lacrosse, it's the area between the hash marks, between the football hash marks, up to about 12 yards. Heim was outside the paint, and these defenses kind of are known for their ability to protect the paint and give up those outside shots.
Funneling guys to where goalies prefer to stop shots. Face-off men, Chris Eck and Jeff Snyder digging in here at the X. Ground ball comes up for David Earl, impressive rookie for Hamilton, 27 in the orange. Earl cranks one high.
Hamilton uncharacteristically not shooting a high percentage in this ballgame. I think their rookies have to step up right now. You know, you got some fresh-legged youngsters in their young 20s, guys like David Earl, Kevin Crowley, Jeremy Boltus. They're the guys who are going to will this team to win.
Nationals were the best shooting percentage team in the league during the 12-game regular season. They were better than 32%. Thompson on the hop. Knocked down in the lane there by Smalley. Bucktooth. Not fooling Reed. Ricci is locked onto Earl. Great move. Earl inside, and waiting at the crease was Jordan Burke. Another save for the Boston stopper. P.T. Ricci rolling back for the Cannons in white. J.J. Morrissey for Max Quinzani. And then the conductor, Ryan Boyle, looking for his 4th Major League Lacrosse championship. By our records, Gavin Prout and Brian Spalina, the only 2 to have won it 4 times. Rabel motoring in. Fires this one wide of Brett Queener, who's come on for Scott Rogers. Stone, goals in both games this weekend. Veering away from Burns, getting lost in the wash there. Quick passing for Pasquet. He one-touched it wide.
Good team offense, ball reversal from the top of your screen to the bottom of your screen, and Pasquet times his cut to where he has leverage on his man.
Almost 6 minutes into quarter 3. Ridgway, the rookie out of Notre Dame, defending on Rabel for the moment. Shot clock expiring right here, no goal. You heard the whistles before the ball entered the cage. No goal, a shot clock violation against Boston. Brody Merrill venturing back. 4 goals on the season, one of them a 2. He had a dozen assists. Playing it on for Casey Powell. Powell, a 2-goal performance this afternoon. Crowley, mentored and tutored by assistant coach Gary Gate on the Hamilton sideline. Hall fidgets inside. Bucktooth did not make the one-handed catch. He did, however, come up with a ground ball long enough to goose it to Crowley. Attacked there by Reed. Right along the end line. And this is going to be a slash call. Right in front of referee Brian Abbott, who works with Tom Sutton, Rich Tamburino, and Doug Donovan today. Boston had a 3-point lead at the half. They've got a 3-point lead at the moment, almost halfway through the third. Let the sun shine in today for a championship final between Boston and Hamilton. Cannons have the lead 7-4. Cascade under the helmet all summer long, focusing in on the best rookies, the best first-year performers. Jeremy Boltus, Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I tell you, the class of 2011, one of the strongest we've seen. 36 different rookies dressed this year. Boltus led the way. He was selected number 43 overall after playing at Army. His senior year, wow, he exploded. 45 assists for West Point. And this year, first year as a pro, so impressed with his mid-range shooting, and his ability to find the open man in transition. A real bright future for Boltus, who led the way in a very, very good rookie class. To me, Joe, that forms the foundation as now we, expand to Ohio and Charlotte.
No doubt. Casey Powell working extra man for Hamilton. 1 for 2 on the day. Jack Reed, a minute for slashing, a minute for unsportsmanlike. So it's a 2-minute disadvantage for the Cannons.
This is big. This is really big. Hamilton's so sloppy right now on offense.
Powell's pass for Boltus goes awry, and Brian Farrell takes it back for the Cannons. Hamilton on the day into double figures when it comes to turnovers with 10. The long clearing pass finds the open man, Kyle Sweeney. 30 years old, a 9th-year pro from Springfield, Pennsylvania. Paul Rabel just chilling out, hoping to burn time on the shorthanded situation. Buchanan will assist. Brody Merrill stalking him. Ryan Boyle guarded by Kyle Rubish. Swing it up top again. Matthew Smalley, who played his college lacrosse at Hobart, bluffs the handoff for Quinzani, and he'll take it for a ride. A collision back behind the net. Boyle, roughed up by Rubish. Great pass! And the put away inside the finish for Matt Smalley. A shorthanded goal for Boston.
Backbreaker city for Hamilton. Boyle's being pressed. His eyes are always up, and Smalley moves without it. How about the handle? Catching that on one side of his body and then folding his stick over. Smalley, one of the most underrated players in the league this year. Really such a key to Boston's success for his ground ball work. But here you see, gorgeous finish.
Told us during his college days it was a must to have a couple of bananas before every game. Well, he got his potassium today. He sure looked sharp with that catch and finish.
You talk about a big turnaround. 7-4, 2-minute man advantage. Next thing you know, you score shorthanded. That could be a huge difference maker.
Boston gets possession as the whistles blare out. For most of the day, we've been in sunshine here at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in the wake of Hurricane Irene, which has left some 800,000 households without power in the state of Maryland. And thankfully, throughout the night, last night at our hotel, Q, you wouldn't have known just from the wind whipping, but no interruption of power and service. These teams yesterday, along with Denver and Chesapeake, absolutely outstanding in playing through all that wind and rain. Smalley continues to rag time. That critical 2-minute advantage for Hamilton is going to go up in smoke. And in fact, they're going to turn out to be a negative as a result of the shorty from Smalley.
So you're down 4. Hamilton all of a sudden is going to have to go into chase mode. And, you know, with your energy levels low, that could get ugly.
Racing back to the forefront, Bryce Queener. Queener hooks off. When Hamilton beat Boston at Harvard, they scored 16 points. When they lost at home, they only clicked for a total of 8 points. And it's been low output today so far for the guys in orange. A determined Casey Powell pings the corner. Powell with a hat trick.
You got one guy right now playing good offense, and it's Casey Powell. And he realizes that Boston has been slow to double team and slow to slide. This is a classic split dodge. Crossover right to left. He blows by Sweeney and shoots this with his offhand. Well done by the vet. If you're the young guys, you got to look. Casey Powell comes in late in the season. He has been humble. He has worked his tail off, and he has assimilated himself extremely well with his team. He's stepping up right now. The young guys got to follow.
Bang up day, Q. 5 points for Casey Powell. Offensive Player of the Year in Major League Lacrosse back in 2005. Multiple All-Star, 4-time 30-goal getter. His resume is extraordinary. The outset of the year, he was the property of the Rochester Rattlers, did not rejoin the league until a deal was brokered between Rochester and Hamilton, and has come in and helped Reggie Thorpe and Gary Gate and this bunch immensely. Ross ready to go for the Cannons in white. 8-5 leaders. Less than 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Ross fidgets loose. Boyle keeps it hot quickly for Quinzani, just missing there. Over and back against the Cannons.
Dangerous restart here. Dangerous restart.
Brody Merrill senses that, goes right to the cage, feeds Bucktooth. One more. Boltus! He scores!
Tell you, off that backcourt violation, your entire offense is down by the Hamilton goal. So you got a slight numbers advantage. Boston did get their subs on, but not quite in time. Well choreographed passing by Bucktooth down low, and Boltus beats Burke to the near post. Big goal right there.
Two tallies 61 seconds apart. Powell had the last three for Hamilton prior to that Boltus strike. Jeremy Boltus, the Rookie of the Year, actually had a 7-goal game this season. Scored 7 times in one 60-minute contest, the same night that Grant Catalino of Rochester scored 9 to equal the Major League Lacrosse record for most in any one game. Stone hanging out for the Cannons, who get their offensive personnel on after the face-off possession. A 2-point lead for Rabel. Queener has it. Brett Queener loves to run. Does a 40-yard dash to midfield. And puts it right into the cross of Brett Bucktooth. Back in the championship match of 2008, Queener was brilliant in the second half for the Rochester Rattlers. Actually picked up an assist on a beautiful Jeff Zawicki goal.
It was a 10-1 second half. He had let in 1 goal, scored a point. He was running circles around people.
Jamison looking inside. Burke sprawls over and robs Bucktooth.
Ridiculous save. Ridiculous save.
Hayes earns the ground ball. Runs through the check of Earl and then looks for help. John Hayes picking up Ryan Boyle, who knows when to push it, and in this case, when to pull the ball out and run 6-on-6. Quinzani has Bliss on him. Buchanan off the swim, rolling against his opposite 27, Earl. Quinzani for Pasque, who had 3 in the first half. Just about 2 minutes to go in quarter 3 right now. Heim, good pick set by Rabel. Quinzani dancing, he has his defender Bliss hung up. Shot clock at 10. Quinzani turns the corner. That was a tough catch for Pasque. Brody Merrill will haul it ahead for Hamilton. Checking the time clock, 1:45 to go in the third. Boston, 5 cough-ups here in the third quarter, in part helping Hamilton get back into this game. Walters among the top 6-point producers this summer, finding Crowley. Deliberately now the Nationals go through their offensive set. Crowley ready to go. Defended by the short stick, Matt Smalley. Towering rookie leans in. Shot clock at 15. Crowley pumps one high on Jordan Burke.
Ball rolled off the top of his cross. Challenging matchup for Smalley, who's given up some size there, but he did a nice job staying on Crowley's hips.
Earl, a tough cover that far from the cage. Gets goal line extended, floats one inside. And there waiting is Jordan Burke at the end of the shot clock. Sends it on out for Heim. 45 seconds with which to work in this frame. Great look, Pasque. Queener stands tall with the stuff. Crease violation against Boston. The officials say it's Hamilton ball. With a timeout on the field, a chance for a commercial break. Jordan Burke and Brett Queener putting on a show in goal. Burke at one end, Queener at the other. Anything you can do, I can do better on ESPN2. Jordan Burke standing tall, loosening up in goal for Boston. During the regular season, he had a 24 save game against Hamilton, and all in part of a terrific year. Save percentage was the third best ever, and today, Q, he's right on.
He's got 7 saves right now, 6 goals against. Most of his stops today have been from in tight. Look at, Hamilton does not take outside shots. They put a lot of pressure. This was his best. You can't ever quit as a goalie. Bucktooth holds and holds and holds, waiting for Burke to crash down to the ground, but he just hangs tough and stays with it, stays with it, stays with it. Burke, the lefty out of Brown from the D.C. area, played at Bullis in high school.
We were talking with his teammates about Jordan, and they all say the same thing, that he cuts emotion out of his game. He never gets too high or too low. Great mental focus for that position. Cannons force a turnover here, then it gets sloppy at midfield. Casey Powell on a 5-point performance and counting comes up with the ball late in the third quarter. Hall moves it, Earl behind the back. Spinning Jamison, no room to shoot. 15 seconds in the quarter. Boltus's pass for Hall. He missed it wide with Farrell and Burke playing goal. Boltus hot foots it right back into the act. Powell for 2, wide of the mark. Last 10 seconds of this third quarter. Boston looking for its first ever Major League Lacrosse Championship. Bad clear. Powell fires towards the open goal. Farrell was ready, and that will do it. A frantic finish to quarter number 3. We are at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. Congratulations all around on the Jordan Burke side. Reggie Thorpe knows his team has some catching up to do, and 15 minutes to get the job done. The Cannons led by 3 after 2 quarters. Their lead's been trimmed. It's going to be interesting down the stretch. Chase for the Major League Lacrosse Championship Trophy. It's the 2011 Sports Authority Major League Lacrosse Championship Weekend presented by Warrior. Along with all the men and women in our technical crew and Quint Kesnick, I'm Joe Beninati. Glad you've tuned in with us. 15 more minutes, perhaps more, to go in this summer of 2011 in Major League Lacrosse. Hamilton and Boston fighting for the crown. Brody Merrill wants the ground ball. Pushing and shoving there with P.T. Ricci. Casey Powell collects. Hamilton carving into this deficit. The pass just missing for Cody Jamison.
That ground ball was as intense as you'll see. Playoff quality ground ball with world-class athletes. Guys like Steve Waldeck and Brody Merrill understanding it. Every possession now is magnified as Boston chucks this ball out of bounds. That third quarter, all of a sudden Hamilton's offense starting to come to life, and you see the look of concern on Boston head coach Bill Day. Hamilton generating 11 shots in the third quarter. Start maybe to play with a little more pep.
Scored the last 2 points. Trimmed into Boston's 4-goal advantage. Powell now lurking behind the net, and the sneaky scores. Casey Powell.
He's got 4 unassisted goals. He was the first guy out of the locker room today when we got here at about 12 noon, working on his game, working on his shooting. And he takes a very, very good all-pro caliber defender, Kyle Sweeney. He's just too strong. Curling around right-handed. He beats Jordan Burke, the goaltender, to the punch. The quick release beats the goaltender. I think Burke thought he might kind of carry that up a little higher.
Not bad for accuracy today from Casey, who once had an 8-goal game in the past against the old Bridgeport Barrage. Before John Grant Jr. came around, it was Powell who set the mark, set the standard for most points in a Major League Lacrosse season. He has been very, very good today. Loose ball hold, says the official Rich Tamburino. Awarding the ball to Boston in the process. It's 8-7 now. As has been customary championship weekends past, a lot of tight-knit games, close to the vest, nail-biters. Downing, way outside, and Rabel jogs in. The marquee matchup against Brody Merrill. Rabel zips that one wide. Rabel, the two-time MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year. Merrill, six-time Defender of the Year, including this one. Downing floats for Rabel. No running room. Ross, a deep shooting threat, moves in against Waldeck. Shot clock at 15. Quinzani. Rabel ready to go. Bliss gets on his hands. Rabel with good speed. Boyle with 4 seconds to shoot. Right to the waiting Brett Queener. Back come the Nationals.
Great defense, and you see fatigue coming to the surface now. Second game in 2 days.
And those weren't ordinary games to slog through yesterday, through the force and the teeth of a hurricane approaching. Jordan Hall just chilling out, some 25 yards from the net, waits for Crowley. Future is bright for this man in Major League Lacrosse. Running with J.J. Morrissey. Crowley pulls the trigger and fires high. Casey Powell steps in from the end line. Kyle Sweeney picks him up. Finding Hall. Shot clock to 10. Jordan Hall. Roll dodge away from Downing. One-handed scoop. He's in the crease, though. It's Boston ball. Burke on target for Sweeney. Sweeney content to find Ryan Boyle. Boston in white. An 8-7 advantage. Little more than 4 minutes into the fourth quarter. Boston came into this weekend with a playoff record all-time of 1-8. A very strong comeback to down Chesapeake yesterday, earning them this final berth. Pursuit of their first ever title. Rabel shimmies loose. Rabel on his way, lost the handle. Brett Queener, who's come on for Scott Rogers and played soundly in goal, snaps this one for the rookie Burns. Burns on the 6-on-6. The pass is too low for Thompson. May have taken his eyes off of it.
He had him.
Powell hustled it down. Boltus has some operating space, and Jordan Burke was waiting at the pipe.
It's a good play by Boltus, just to force the corner enough to draw the defense, and maybe something inside would open. He had Thompson, 74 in orange.
Boltus was Hamilton's regular season goal-scoring leader. Earl, another impressive rookie. Earl accelerates into the lane. Heim stays with him. David Earl. The pass floats away from Casey Powell. It's a turnover against the Nationals. In a one-point game with the Cannons. Brian Farrell, an offensive-minded long stick. He was in his college days at Maryland, and he has been in this his first season as a pro. Quinzani, a master of the high drama. He told us yesterday about past performances in the dying seconds in college games with Duke, and did it yesterday.
Scored the game winner against Virginia late in the semifinals in 2010, I believe that was.
Ridgway covering up on Buchanan. Buchanan moves it, unsettled Boyle. On top, long range two, hummed high and wide by Mike Stone. Boyle comes crashing in off the end line. Forced back by Rubish. Shot clock at 10. Boyle on that question mark move did not convert. Rabel says, I'll take it. Merrill picks him up. Trades him off to Saul Bliss. Then Brody's there to double. And the shot clock expires just as Quinzani was getting topside. 8 minutes and 16 seconds to go in the fourth. Boston clinging to a 1-point lead. The Cannons looking for the title on championship weekend. Very tight game. Boston 8, Hamilton 7. Casey Powell with 4 goals for the Nationals. That surname, Powell, synonymous with lacrosse success.
35-year-old who could be playing in a Masters club tournament this weekend, yet he's the game's MVP at this stage.
8 points this weekend with 4 goals and a 1 + 3 = 4 performance yesterday as Hamilton took out Denver. Just joining us, we drift below 8 minutes to go in the 4th. Hamilton in orange needs 1 to tie. Powell from down under, missing the mark against Jordan Burke. Burke at one end for Boston. Brett Queener in goal, feeling the pressure now for Hamilton. Sidewinder comes from Jamison. That's deflected away.
It's amazing Hamilton's only 1 goal out of it with Gary Gait, their offensive coordinator. They haven't looked like themselves today. It's been all unassisted goals. This is an offense that known for their pick and roll game, their 2-man games, and their off-ball cuts.
Crowley dancing with it. Shot clock at 15. Joe Walters has been relatively quiet today. Kyle Sweeney is doing the honors on him. Reed has Boltus. Shot clock to 4. Inside Crowley, lost it out of his cross as Morrissey comes storming out of his defensive end. J.J. Morrissey full flight. Quick 4-on-3. Boyle has time. It's knocked down in front by Brody Merrill. Shovels it on for Kyle Rubish in transition. Here comes Bryce Queener. And then Jamison says, let's slow the tempo with 6:40 to go. Major League Lacrosse, for those of you new to it, a 60-second shot clock. Each team with 2 timeouts remaining.
Look at Powell attacking.
Feeds for Jamison, who tried to quick stick that one from his knees. On the scoop, Belisle.
Oh, what a play.
The emotional leader for the Cannons, demonstrating his dexterity there. Smalley racing back. Boyle keeps it moving. Posque made one more. That was a tough pass. And Queener comes out of the pack with it. Burns for the Nationals. He hits the throttle. Hall holds up. Burns outside the 2-point arc. That's 16 yards from the cage. No 2s today. Hamilton during the year, Q, the fewest 2-point goals.
And they don't have a legitimate gun from the outside. I think Brett Bucktooth, as an ex-goalie, is the guy that scares me most. But that was a great example of transition defense both ways. Joe, if I'm out there right now and I feel fresh and I got some legs, like a guy like Dan Burns, the green light is on.
Powell's pass cross crease deflected aside, snared by Jack Reed. Both of these teams talking about execution and the willingness to sell out in the 4th quarter right now. There's poor execution. Rubish making the defensive stop. Bryce Queener keeps it down the alley for Cody Jamison with 5:10 to go. Bucktooth buckling his defender. Long range, Walters fires with a howitzer that was stopped by Burke. Jordan Burke, only Long Island's Drew Adams with more saves in the regular season. Boston will bring it back with Matt Smalley.
That was one he had to have, and he digs it out. No, good rebound control against a team that is feisty and opportunistic around the goal.
Flag down, extra man soon coming for Boston. Similar story, though, Q, for Burke yesterday. When he needed the big save, he came up with it against Chesapeake.
And that's why he's had such a great season. You know, he has played his best in the 4th quarters of games where Boston is +13.
We hear the whistles as the officials come over for a conference.
How do you blow the whistle right there?
Yes, Bill, I understand you want to know how. So do we. Bill Day palms up on the sideline. Zebra stripes chat. Boston expected to go to the extra man with 4:27 to play.
The initial call was going to be that Hamilton was offsides. From the far side of the field, I believe that was Doug Donovan, blows his whistle. Boston thinks that they're going to have a power play, that there's a flag down and they get a free opportunity. A, to reg the clock, B, to get a decent shot, and then the whistle blows. Let's find out what happened.
Picking up the flag.
So no foul. It should be Boston's ball. The question is what they do with the shot clock. So we'll give him a full 45.
Ryan Boyle, an interested bystander there, nearby ref Rich Tamburino.
David Earl, who was a midfielder, was back kind of in an attack area with his stick up and stepped over the midfield line, but I think the box official, who was Donovan at the time, said that Hamilton was still on a sub, that they had a player coming out of that substitution box, so it was a inadvertent flag dropping.
It'll stay 6-on-6. Pat Heim on the board this afternoon, scored yesterday in the semifinals, rips another one. Pat Heim at a big moment.
Right to left. Heim is a natural right-handed player, so he's shaded. He's given that left side, and what a snappy release from about 12 yards on the run. This is one that Queener's got to make. Stick side low. He's there, but just a little late. And Heim with the quick release.
4 years in the pro ranks for the 27-year-old Heim. First 2 with the Chicago Machine. Last 2 with Boston. Snyder and Eck, nose to nose on the draw.
It's one of the reasons Boston has won the 10 games this season. Depth of scoring, versatility, and balance in their offense.
Brody Merrill on his way to the cage. Merrill fires and scores! Brody Merrill, one of Hamilton's big guns. Back and forth we go in this Major League Lacrosse Championship game. Brody Merrill, an offensive threat with a long stick, and he proves that to Jordan Burke. 2011 Sports Authority Major League Lacrosse Championship Weekend presented by Warrior. We can summarize the final this way.
Casey Powell, the Ponce de Leon of lacrosse this weekend, leading this Hamilton team. They were down 8-4 more than halfway through the third quarter. They have rallied. They've scored 3 of the last 4 goals. Powell has 4. Brody Merrill off the face-off. This one's going down to the last minute.
Brody Merrill, the last to strike for Hamilton, getting himself on the board. Casey Powell has done so 4 times today. You called him Ponce de Leon. You're taking Kevin Finneran's nickname away?
Wow, that was so long ago. A lot of our fans probably don't remember that.
Long Island Lizards, the first ever champs in Major League Lacrosse. Casey Powell was on that team, one of his 2 championship rings. Rabel and the Cannons have never won the title. Right now they lead this final match by 1. And importantly, they can rag time. 3:20 left in the 4th.
If you're Bill Day, Boston coach, you're stalking the officials, you still have your 2 timeouts. You want to preserve a possession, but you got to keep playing offense here within the confines of your offense.
Rubish attacking Buchanan. Buchanan sidesteps him, goes airborne to score! Kevin Buchanan!
Buchanan is a dangerous player because he's a hybrid combination between a midfielder and an attackman. Watch the change of direction. Key there is he drives his man 5 yards past the goal line extended. So now when he cuts back, Joe, he has angles and options. Diving is legal in the Pro League. Airborne, Buchanan gives Boston some separation. Queener did his best to match sticks, but no goalie's going to make that stop.
Face-off procedure was called against Jeff Snyder, so it's Boston ball, leading by 2 with 2:45 to go. We've seen Buchanan thrill Major League Lacrosse fans at All-Star games in the freestyle contest, and right there, one of the sharpest goals of this championship match. Rabel running for cover. Merrill lost his footing. So does Rabel. While down on the deck, his pass is deflected, and here come the Nationals. It's Donnie Moss bringing it ahead. Hamilton, which does not like to shoot 2s, is down by 2 with over 2 minutes to play.
And a quick timeout, a good call by Reggie Thorpe, because A, you save yourself some shot clock, which is at 52 right now. Had you gone through your full substitution pattern with tired players like Moss and Merrill, you eat 20 seconds off the shot clock. So he saves some time, uses the first of his 2 timeouts. A good call.
Quint, these Hamilton Nationals in orange, formerly the Toronto Nationals and formerly past Major League Lacrosse champions. If you go back to the summer of '09, dramatics for the Nats here.
It was late heroics by Sean Williams in a game that was knotted up Denver hanging tough, but on the backdoor cut. And we haven't seen that from this Hamilton group today, that off-ball play. And I think on this last possession, if you're Hamilton, you want to have Casey Powell handling, and you probably want him driving right-handed, and you'll want somebody to come up and set a pick. And what Casey's good at is flipping that ball over his shoulder to the slip cut. So I would send like a Joe Walters up to set a pick for Casey, have Casey run off his shoulder, and then you have Walters drop step and kind of flash to the goal.
Powell has been marvelous this afternoon.
How crafty is this guy around the net? You know, that was always his brother Ryan's strength at finding the ability to put the ball into tight spaces. You know, Casey was always known as the best athlete of the group, the most complete player. Mikey the fastest, Ryan probably the best passer and got his teammates the better, but certainly to me, Casey has all the attributes of the Powell family.
Mikey Powell had a lot of daredevil in him. Tremendously explosive. Big brother Casey on display today. Hamilton down by 2. Boston some 2 minutes away from ending its Major League Lacrosse championship drought. They've been part of this league since the summer of 2001. The guys in the white uniforms have yet to taste victory on championship weekend. Jordan Hall starts with possession for Hamilton. Hall, a strong left-handed player. Same said for Cody Jamieson. Weaving in against Hayes. Jamieson loses him. Burke makes the foot stop. He kicked out that left foot. Rebound belongs to Boston. J.J. Morrissey down the wing for Ryan Boyle. 1:45 now for Boston.
Burke took that one off the boot, Joe. I'm not even sure he saw it. Didn't react much to it, but Jamieson just pounds that ball at his foot. A critical save by a guy who's done that all season long, especially in the fourth quarter.
Cannons would be wise to exhaust the 60-second shot clock now. 35 seconds left in it. Buchanan with the Rubish spying on him. Buchanan makes a break for it. Quinzani is next to play some keep away against Bliss. 1:10 to go in the fourth.
They're going to just roll this ball into the corner and retreat defensively. They're already subbing off.
Brody Merrill chasing after Ryan Boyle. Boyle will launch it now as the shot clock expires. Mission accomplished, the first one for Boston. Now Hamilton has just 50 seconds left, 49.9 to be specific, to chase him down. Casey Powell at the midline. Hamilton has to be thinking about a 2. And right here, Reggie Thorpe, their head coach, will ask for timeout.
Reggie Thorpe and his offensive coordinator, Gary Gate. Offense will circle around Gary Gate, try to figure out a 2-point shot. There the group. I thought Chesapeake did a great job late in the semifinal game, diagramming that play, which had some carrying, some picks, and then a throwback to Kyle Dixon for his 2-pointer, which was a big play in the semifinal game. Everything's being said. If you're Boston, you're stretching your matchups. Like in college basketball, you're denying all threes. You'll give the one. You'll give the layup. But you have to challenge outside that 16-yard arc.
One of the sport's greatest there, gray-haired Gary Gate, giving his club the instructions. He's the offensive coordinator, if you will. Reggie Thorpe, the head coach for Hamilton, giving Gary so much credit during the year. This is a Hamilton team that was floundering for a time, but has come on. Major League Lacrosse founder Jake Steinfeld, anxious to hand out that Major League Lacrosse trophy.
40 pounds worth of the quote-unquote Steinfeld Cup, which I called it that 10 years ago, but it's not really a cup.
But it's stuck. And I'm surprised he's able to lift that today. It sounds like you guys were doing some workouts,
you know, the guy
extensive
I
workouts.
bumped into Jake in the weight room in the hotel this morning, and next thing you know is hey Q, how about a Sunday pump, He had me doing 100 reps of push-ups, dips, crunches, and curls. I do 12 reps.
That's my boy.
He's got me doing 100 reps.
Yes, you'll feel it tomorrow. Go for the burn.
100 reps.
39 seconds to go, 10-8 Boston. The championship game of Major League Lacrosse's championship weekend, presented by Warrior. Glad you're with us on ESPN2. Here comes Cody Jamieson, bolting right to the cage. He scores! Jamieson takes the 1-point variety.
Now, you called it, Joe. And my analysis was that Boston had to stretch. And, okay, you give up one here. The key now is a face-off with 31 seconds to go. Here's Jamieson. He realizes that the center is totally cleared out, and so he takes the easy route. A little tactical error by Burke to come off that inside post. I always want to take away, cardinal rule in goaltending is, like hockey, take away that inside post. Critical face-off.
Big focus here, Eck and Snyder. Both of them have dealt with injuries during this summer, and gamely fought on. It squirts loose to P.T. Ricci for Boston. Then on for Rabel. On a roll dodge, we hear the whistles. With just over 20 seconds left, a timeout has been called.
So that timeout was called by Kyle Sweeney in the defensive end, not by Bill Day on the far sideline. And what that'll do now is it gives Hamilton a chance to get organized, to catch their breath, and to organize their double team, to try to get this last takeaway.
Late in regulation just yesterday in the semifinals, they went with some razzle-dazzle in the final 10 seconds that earned them their winning goal.
Yeah, Boston yesterday, Billy Day took his 2 timeouts into the locker with him, yes, victorious. At a time you thought they had to get organized, the chaos actually worked in Boston's favor. This is the opposite situation. Now, Brody Merrill gets to catch his breath. Steve Waldeck, I'm expecting on the double team. And you'll see if Paul Rabel perhaps will carry here and try to run to victory.
It began in mid-May with 6 teams fighting for this Major League Lacrosse championship. 4 descended upon Annapolis, Maryland this weekend with a hurricane bearing down through the semifinals. Great drama yesterday, and now Boston and Hamilton right to the very last second.
When I think about this summer, I think about the great fan support in Denver on July 3rd with over 27,000 fans. I think about the Boston fans all these years. They're coming out in droves now, 9,000 a game, how much they love their Cannons in a city that's very sports crazy. And I just think about this league continuing on a positive path as a catalyst for lacrosse growth across the country as we're heading to Ohio and Charlotte next year with expansion. The quality of play has never been better. And I think you've seen that this weekend in some very adverse conditions.
8 teams next year, 1 division, collegiate draft coming up in January, expansion draft coming up in early December. But for now, the conclusion of this title game. Paul Rabel going to be doubled by Rubish and Brody Merrill some 30 yards from the net. Brett Queener ready to vacate the crease and help out defensively. Do anything possible for Hamilton defensively to force a turnover. Rabel trying to get a running start away from those 2 ball hawks. Rubish puts a stick on. Rabel with all that off-season training fights through 2, then 3 defenders. He goes cartwheeling down. 8 seconds left. Is there time for the Nationals? Rubish slugs it a hole. Wide of the goal. Burke there. That has to be ruled a shot or a pass.
That was a pass. They're ruling it a shot.
And now, time has expired off the clock. This one for all the beans finally goes to Boston. Casey Powell writhing in agony, in pain and injured. And then the other end of the spectrum, emotion-wise, the Cannons celebrate their first ever title.
I have to feel for this Cannons team as founder Jake Steinfeld hands it to Mitch Belisle and Matt Poske, captains with Billy Day. 11 years for this proud franchise in Boston, and finally they host the big-time trophy.
There's the photo op. The leaders bring it to the rest of the pack. A total team effort for the Boston Cannons. Bill Day was so anxious to see how Jordan Burke would perform after being snubbed for goalie of the year and all-pro. How about this?
It wasn't the number of saves, but it was clutch in the semifinals. He robs Kyle Hartzell late in that game. Today he did it again with a kick save against Jamieson late in regulation.
Bud Light playoff championship weekend MVP, the netminder for the Cannons, Jordan Burke. Jack Reed there, hoisting the Steinfeld Cup for the second time. He won it back in 08 with Rochester. And time for our Warrior highlight of the game. Highlight stuff from the likes of Kevin Buchanan.
Score was 9-8 under the 3-minute mark. It's Buchanan on an isolation, drives his man to the 5x5. That's 5 yards north of the goal line extended. So when he cuts back, he still has some goal to work. Airborne to victory. That gives Boston a 2-goal lead with under 3 minutes to go.
The Cannons finishing up the regular season in style. They won 3 straight. They get the most important sweep in championship weekend, and they have, to the victor goes the spoils.
You had the game's best player in Paul Rabel finally able to hold that championship trophy after 4 years in Boston. It's a team that, to me, was the most dominant in the regular season, but the start they got off to in the semifinals was scary. Here we go again if you're the Boston Cannons, but you exercise a lot of demons. Most complete team, Joe. That's what stands out. Good in the goal, good in faceoffs, good in extra man, specialties, a tight defense, a diverse an offense that shares the ball. To me, from start to finish, clearly the best team in the league.
Outstanding competitor, Brody Merrill. He's won it 3 times, but not this time. Bill Day and the Cannons win it for the first time, and Paul Rabel said, you know, the celebration after the fact. Once you get the job done, it's going to be great. Well, he fulfills that prophecy with his teammates, winning this one in dramatic fashion and taking down Hamilton by the final count of 10-9. Quint, as always, it was a wonderful summer and a pleasure to work with you, my friend. I look forward to many more dates in the future. For Quint Kesnick, for all the men and women in our crew, Joe Beninati, thanks very much for your time. We congratulate the Boston Cannons and their rabid fan base. They wanted it so badly. Well, you've got it, Boston. 2011 Major League Lacrosse champions. Next up on ESPN2, Street League Skateboarding. We sure do thank you for watching this weekend and all summer long on ESPN2. The worldwide leader in sports, Buchanan and Boston. A thrilling victory for Beantown.
The Boston Cannons Game of the Week is powered by Boston Sports Performance Center, where performance has no limits. BSPC is a premier sports performance, physical therapy, and sports medicine center serving the Boston and Metro West communities.
Congratulations to the 2011 Boston Cannons on bringing the championship home to the city of Boston. A 10-9 victory over the Hamilton Nationals. Congrats to Coach Day, his coaching staff, and the Boston Cannons on a tremendous season and winning the championship. Hope you all enjoyed the Game of the Week on Wednesdays, as now we head into the Boston Cannons 2020 season.